Welcome to Roadmap, how to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week we interview a great agent who's consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of the knowledge as quickly as you can, and then use the copycat principle. If you're watching on Vulcan7 or the Lead Gen Facebook group, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions during the broadcast. Let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. That's carlyhathaway.com. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, Ren. Hi, everybody. Real estate's great. San Diego is an amazing place to live, so really good business. Good. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to remind everybody we're simulcasting the show on the private Lead Gen group on Facebook. They have 52,000 members, so we have a large audience there today as well. We'll be pausing for a commercial message during the show as a thank you to the Lead Gen folks. Let's welcome our guest today from beautiful Chicago, Illinois, Mr. James Mattz. Welcome, James. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited. This is your second appearance. You were here in
my second appearance.
Pardon?
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun last time.
We sure did. We had a lot of fun. And James is very powerful. I'm excited to have him on the show. Not only does he take many listings every week, he draws them in with this intense personality, this intense passion. And I hope you just kind of rub off on them and they all walk away with that gift.
Well, I'm going to share as much as I can because I got to tell you something. What I do and what I've learned over the years is transferable. And it's all up to the individuals to take the ball and run with it and experience the same outcome.
Good. Well, I'm glad it's transferable. Let's see what we can do. Maybe they can just be like put it under their pillow and just goes in tomorrow. It'd be fun. Good. What's your day like?
We're going to start channeling it.
What's your day like these days? How does your day start?
Well, my day starts actually with a 5-minute, conversation with my team about, what our goals are, why we're here today. And then we do a power up. We have a fun time getting our energy prepared for the day. And we have a song, I'm an old R&B soul kind of guy.
Yeah.
And we have a tune that we power up on from Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions called We're a Winner. And we dance and give ourselves energy and we do it. And we even have a dance that we do with it. And that's how we start our day.
I love that. That's a great way to pick up the energy for sure.
I'm writing that one down.
Yes.
Got it down. I'm going to try that one.
What time does that start? What time do you meet with your team?
We start at exactly 8 o'clock. We talk for about 5 minutes about, again, the day and what our goals are and what we're trying to do. And we get into our power up at exactly 8:11 so that I can be on the phones by 8:20.
Okay, 8:20. Well,
that's wonderful. And what do you think is so important about having that regular routine every single morning, starting with your team at 8 a.m.? What's important about that?
Well, when you think about establishing a model for success, and then you look at people like athletes, they have a routine. Whether it's Muhammad Ali, whether it's Tom Brady, whether it's Michael Jordan, or whether it's the role players, they all establish some level of repetition that gives them the embodiment of what they are looking to accomplish. And then they do it over and over and over again. And it starts to create the habitual habits that leads them to their outcomes.
I like it. I think that's perfect. And so you said you get on the phones every morning by 8:20? That's
right.
Okay. And can you walk us through what's your first phone call? Who are you kind of time blocking, or how do you make your calls?
Well, what I do is, and of course with the Vulcan7 system, it's really a turnkey system. But the thing I like about it most it gives me the ability to manipulate it and frame it to how I want to proceed daily. And so I pull down all of my expireds and for sale by owners. I put them into the various folders that I have automated so that I'll have, for lack of a better way of putting it, a roadmap that tells me what to do every day. And then I start into those calls. And of course, once I finish one group of calls, I have it automated till I go to the next group of calls. And I have like 5 different calls that I make daily as it relates to the type of call. And that usually takes me from 8:20 to about 12 o'clock every day.
Awesome. So from 8:20 to 12, you're making calls. And in your Vulcan7 system, you told me you've got all these folders and all these labels, and you're moving people around and making all these calls, and it keeps you organized. Is that what's going on?
Well, it's very important that it is organized, because I have been able to create a life for myself where all I do is lead generate, lead follow up, make listing presentations, and that's it. I don't do anything else, but because I'm leveraged in that set of activities, it allows me, I think we're on course this year to list about 250 properties.
How many listings do you take a week? So that's going to be 5 a week. Is that what you're doing? 5 a week on average?
At least 5, 4, 7 a week.
Okay. And so how many appointments do you have to go on to take 5? How many do you have to go on?
Well, I usually set between myself and my team, we usually set about 60, 65 appointments a month. Okay. And we go on about 50 to 55% of them, because what happens is you set the appointments, and then in the reconfirmation process, people cancel for whatever reason. And so we go on about 50, 55%, and I usually get anywhere between 85 to 88% is my conversion.
Okay, so your batting average is 85 to 88%. So you go on 100, you take 85 to 88% of the listings that you go on, based on pre-qualifying them. Right. Okay, and so you cut on them before you ever walk out the door, and you're going on all of them, is that right?
That's right. Right now, I'm going on all of them. Right now, I'm also training another person that's going with me, and they will go with me, and then they will start presenting, and then they will go on their own.
Yeah, a lot of people on here can't imagine taking 4, 5, 6, 7 listings a week themselves. And buyers take time, but that process of going on the appointment, taking the listing doesn't take time unless you have a long presentation. How long is your presentation?
My presentation usually lasts anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 at the most.
Okay.
Of course, in order to take a lot of listings, you have to have the ability to have a precise and organized presentation so that you can, get in and get out to the next one. But, but the other thing is this that I think that's important. In order to take a lot of listings, you have to have the mindset to understand that it is a path, and of course you have to master that path. I've been, lead generating since 1982, when I was with Xerox Corporation and IBM, and I've been lead generating since. So I'm millions of phone calls into this process, and of course have been on thousands of appointments. So now, with that amount of tenure and track record, the habits have become habitual. It's muscle memory. And of course, in order to do anything on a high level, you have to be habitual in your efforts, and you have to understand that it takes time.
Can somebody right now take 1 a week? Right now, learning, some basics, get to where they take 1 a week if they spend 4 hours every morning looking for business? Is that possible? Can they take 1 a week?
It is impossible not to be able to take 1. And that's the beauty of it. Once you do the things that is necessary to create the 1, it's very easy to create the next one, because as you start perfecting the activity necessary to create the one, you start creating breakthroughs in that process to create the one that now creates two, and then three, and then four. And of course, it doesn't take 30 years to take 250, 300 listings. However, it's going to take more than doing it every now and then to create that outcome. And that's where I think a lot of people make the mistake. They don't keep at the activity long enough, and they don't do it consistently enough to create the momentum of skill set that unfolds once you start having the success.
Well, right out of the gate, they can fix a couple things that you're doing right here. You're going on a listing appointment. It's typically 30 minutes from the time you walk in to the time you walk out with a signed contract. Most of them are running 2 hours. You know it, I know it. They're running 2 hours because they don't pre-qualify. They don't send any information ahead. And so they have to get there, ask a whole bunch of questions. Then they have to do a marketing presentation. And then they have to try to close and fill out things. So you're pre-qualifying, obviously, because you're cutting your appointments in half. You're only going on half of them. And then you're sending them something ahead?
Yes, we send them information. Once the appointment is set, then my listing manager takes the appointment, pulls the CMA, calls them again to let them know that we're excited about meeting them. She sends them information to take a look at. And then a couple of days before the appointment, she calls and makes sure they received it and that they looked at it, and if they didn't, to please do so. And then the day of the appointment, she reconfirms again. So I have a process in place that allows me to walk into a door with them having a very high percentage understanding of why I'm there. And I think that a lot of times when agents don't do those preparatory, those pre-things, the seller does not remember or does not understand why they're there. And of course, to the extent that the seller understands why you're there, that allows you to get right into your presentation, if you have one, and allows you to execute it. One other thing I think is important is this. When you're on the appointment, you have to understand why you're there. You're there to disseminate a specific set of information for that client. And it's like acting. When you go and act, they give you a script. You have to understand the script, and then you have to practice. And you do the scene, and at some point, you're going to be live in that scene. So you have to understand that you have to be prepared. You can't come half-cocked. You can't, wing it. You have to be prepared. And of course, I got to tell you, I beat a lot of other agents out on listings because they don't come prepared as I do.
But when you walk in the door and you've asked all these questions in advance and you've sent them a marketing presentation and you've made sure they went through it, there's only one thing left to talk about.
That's it.
Price.
That's it.
That's it.
Price is the only thing.
Price and sign.
That's it. That's the only thing I do. I do a price presentation, and one of the other things that I think that I'm going to share, a little secret, is that you got to let the seller know that price is the only thing. Because once a buyer and a seller agree on the price, then the buyer is going to take that executed contract and give it to their lender. And the lender is going to order an appraisal. Price is the only thing, and you have to have some level of process to disseminate and present that price information to that client to understand. And here's another secret. It's not about pricing the property to sell. Let me say that again.
Okay.
It's not about pricing the property to sell. The main thing they have to do is to position it to get an offer, because you can't sell the property unless you get an offer.
Yeah.
And if you never get an offer, it's never going to sell.
There you go. I like that. I like that reason.
Yeah. And I really feel like you're almost like an actor going in to do it. So it's not like you're not going and winging it. You have a script down, you do the same.
That's right. And of course, when I come in, and this is the other thing that's sort of a pet peeve of mine, you know, when you're on stage, you have to look the part. And so I overwhelm them with my presence the moment they open the door. The first thing they see is this tall black guy that's dressed to the dozens. And of course, my movement with them as I walk through the door and the way that I greet them, I'm very personable. And if they have any level of uncomfort, I break it down right there with my smile, the way that I shake their hand, and the way that I look into their eyes and deep into their soul, because I want them to understand that they're about to experience something that they never have. And I do that on purpose, because I want them to feel, not only hear me, but I want them to feel me, and I want them to be comfortable, because people do business with people that they're comfortable with. And so my whole presentation is one of being prepared, making them extremely comfortable. And by the time that I leave that table, they feel that I'm part of the family.
I love it. And you're dressed like you're going to a wedding when you go to a listing presentation. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Right. And you know it, in your office in Chicago, in your office, up and down the hallway are agents who go on listing presentations wearing blue jeans, loafers, little golf shirt, take a pen and a yellow pad, and then they come and ask questions. You're listing 5-6 homes a week, and they're listing 5-6 a year. So maybe taking that advice and dressing like you're going to a wedding will make a difference.
Well, I got to tell you, in my office, I've had the opportunity to be impactful to some people that have made that transition, and others who, you know, sort of get in their own way and believe that they can, you know, do it their way, but they're not getting the results that they want or they deserve.
I agree with you, and I think a lot of agents forget that, especially, you know, I'm in California. I've seen agents go on listing appointments in flip-flops and t-shirts, and then they're
Yes. It's amazing. It completely blows me away. But of course, being a creature of habit as I am, I've always wore suits and I've always wore a tie, and that's not just who I am. That's not what I do. That's who I am. That's who I am as a person, and who I present myself as a professional to my clients.
But you're right.
You're appreciated, and also, doesn't it put you in a certain mindset when you're immaculately makes you feel a little bit?
No question about it. It empowers my mindset, and it gives me the tools. I mean, I got to tell you something. When I go and sit at the table of the majority of my sellers, I literally blow them away. They tell me that they have never seen a presentation. They have never witnessed the analysis. They have never, and really, I'm not doing anything different. It's just that I'm intentional in my presentation, my presence, and I'm leveraging it in a way because I am acting. I'm on stage. You know, the cameras is on, and I try to give an Academy Award winning performance every time.
And James is on stage a lot. It's some of the energy you carry. When I've got to tell the story, because I met him at an event, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I met dozens and dozens and dozens of people on that same 4-day period. But I remember James, and he stood out. He stood out. It's like the one person I remembered I met because he was passionate about everything he thought. And I have to believe, this is just my world, I have to believe your passion comes through the phone and they're like, I got to meet with him. I don't know if he can sell our home, but he believes he can sell our home. That passion, if people could embrace that, fake it till you make it, folks, but just consider doing what he does. Be that excited, that passionate, that much conviction. I would look at passion and conviction are the words here. And it works all day long to the bank.
There's no question about it. I mean, I'm obviously in a very competitive environment here, and also 80% of my business, one of the realms of business that I'm really working hard to master is my database, because 80% of my business is for sale by owners and expired cancel listings. I mean, that, and 95% of my personal book of business is listings. So the thing is that I'm charting out into the hardest realm of the market every day. And when I talk to sellers, they usually have talked to a half dozen to a dozen people also.
Yeah. And you have to stand out. And that is a way to stand out, because I'm getting a lot of questions about the mechanics of things. Folks, we'll talk about the mechanics here in about 1 second. Think about what you wear, how you talk, how passionate you are, how much conviction you have, and asking a lot of questions. If you take that piece on and embrace that, then everything else will fall into place.
One other thing I wanted to share real quick was a technique that I think really works, and is very simple. Anybody can do it. Is when you're presenting and you're asking questions, ask the question, look them in the eye after you've asked the question, and immediately smile.
Yeah, like you actually care about what you asked. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the questions are in how you organize your expireds and FSBOs in your Vulcan7 dialing CRM. Do you have a way to explain that easily, or?
Well, you know, I have the call patterns broken into folders. For example, I'll take down today's calls, and then I'll put them in a category that represents today's for sale by owners expired cancel listings. And then what I do is I'll go immediately after today's calls, and I'll go to my hit list. That's a separate folder. My hit list represents those sellers that are right on the verge of listing with me, or people that I've had presentations to, and for whatever reason they didn't sign my paperwork, or people that are come list me's and I just have to get it scheduled to go to their home and get the listing. And I do it that way so that I can always have in front of me at the touch of a button those most motivated sellers, those most motivated opportunities. And then after I call that folder, then I go to my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So whatever day that I'm in. Today is Tuesday. I already have my Tuesday calls, because some of those expired cancel listings, I'll put them into a Tuesday follow-up based on the rapport that I had with them. So it automatically creates those calls. And then after that, I have my week 1 through week 4 calls. So I'll have my Monday week 1, my Tuesday week 1, my Monday week 2, and those week 1 through 4 calls are to my existing seller clients, just so that I can talk to them. Usually it rotates to every 10 to 14 days. And again, it allows me to have a rotation and making sure that my seller clients are still hearing from me, still hearing my voice, etc. And then after that, it's about 12 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. All right, that explains a lot, and that should help a lot of folks. Alice Sheppy, now Jessica Chavez wants to know if you have a coach and who's your coach. Are you with a particular, are you being coached, and are you with a coaching organization or anything like that? Or?
Yes, I've been in coaching since the late 90s, early 2000. It propelled my business in ways that I could never really share how powerful it's been in my life. I would encourage anybody that's listening that coaching is not something that you think about doing. Coaching is something, if you're serious about going to the next level in this business, you have to do, because you have to make that investment in yourself. And most people worry about how to pay for it and don't understand that the longer they stay out of coaching, they're costing themselves so much money and so much expansion of their life.
Well, coaching more than pays for itself unless you're not coachable.
Yes.
So just depends on whether you're willing to do what they ask you to do. So
exactly.
it's not always easy things.
Well, and again, it's interesting you say that because a lot of people will spend $1,000 a month in coaching and they get out in 2 months and they get out because they can't afford it. But if they ask themselves, they didn't do 10% of what the coaching was asking them to do.
Gotcha. If I remember, aren't you in Keller Williams coaching? I saw that bold thing up there.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay, good. Are you in bold? Are you taking that?
Yes, I'm in bold. I've taken bold about, I think this is my 9th or 10th time taking bold. And usually I don't take it, to learn how to, chat scripts or anything of that nature. I take it because it serves as a playing field for me to exercise my passions in impacting others, because really when people are doing bold is really a room where people can come in transparently and then share from a vulnerability standpoint and then grow from the failures, experiences, successes of others.
I know, and you're a big give back guy. You like jumping in, and you're a role model for your office. Well, Harry Rostron wants to know what information you're sending to the seller before you go on the appointment.
Well, we have a brochure. We have 3 different types based on the call, and we send the information to them. Again, I don't try to make the better or new mousetrap. It's a compilation of information that I've seen other agents do around the country, and I just copied their stuff and made it my own.
Okay, good. All right, so you didn't reinvent the wheel. You looked at best practices.
That's right.
Follow that. Listen to because you've had coaches for 20 years.
Yes.
And based on best practices you put together. Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. Let's see. We had a couple of Facebook questions. Harry Ross. Oh, we got that one. Good. Let's see. Where is Bolton? I got a lot of questions here. Let's see. Do you have assistants that market and so that work with you on your team?
Yes, I have a listing manager, of course.
Okay.
I have a transaction manager. I have an operations person that sort of coordinates the activities of my team. I have 3 buyer agents, and I have one administrative virtual assistant, and I have one OSA virtual person.
Gotcha. Do you, Shannon Hodges wants to know, do you give discounts in a competitive market? I think that's code for cutting commission.
Absolutely not. And can I tell you why that concerns me?
Absolutely. Tell us.
Well, the thing is this, if a person is going to come into your home and share that their value proposition is their ability to decrease or cut their commission as the antidote to get you your needs met, what is going to happen when that buyer wants to give you a lowball offer and that person is going to be the person that has to negotiate to your benefit? Do you think he's going to negotiate in a way that's going to fight to get you your money, or do you think he's going to want you to cut your price just like he cut his commission?
There you go. So you got Shannon, you got the objection handler too. How about that? Yeah. I have a feeling because Chicago commissions run a little lower. They're kind of like a West Coast commission. Do you probably charge a little extra, don't you? You probably charge above the going rate.
Well, we're competitive. I mean, obviously, we're in an environment where people do cut their commission, but our commission is a standard 6%, 7% when I get it, and I never go below 5%.
You do realize Chicago's mostly 5%, and you're doing 6 and 7, and occasional 5%. I love it. Good. What do you do with all that extra money?
Well, it comes in handy.
I love it. This has been a real treat. Folks, if you guys can take the intensity and passion and conviction that this guy has and then systematize a little bit and get a regular routine, You too can take 25 listings a month.
Well, you know what? It starts with the individual. What is it that they feel, not that they want, but what they deserve? I think so often we tend to spend time thinking about what we want. We want to do this. We want to achieve that. But what do you deserve? And if you can line up that mindset of what you deserve, it's a little bit higher of an intention than what you want, because everybody wants to make more money, but a lot of people don't feel that they deserve more money. And I think that the mindset has to go from wanting to deserving. And if you find that level of deserving for yourself,
that is a great point.
Deserving for your family, deserving for your children, deserving for your legacy, deserving for all of those clients that deserve to have them as their agent. Them, because they're going to do the things that's necessary. When you can raise your level of mindset to that and match your action and your commitment to the game, you're going to go far, in my opinion.
I think that's a great point, because then you're going to go into all these appointments and phone calls with.
Exactly.
It all starts up here, everybody. James, I'm very, very grateful. Let me read a couple little things, and because we pay for a couple bills. If you're watching on Vulcan7 and you want to get involved with the Lead Gen Facebook group who airs our show, they're at facebook.com/groups/got-objections. And I want to thank Aaron Wittenstein, who runs the group. He runs a program called trajectorynow.com. And finally, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not yet involved with Vulcan7, make sure to sign up at vulcan7.com/leadgen for a special deal. And then I've got James's secret. James Mattz. You want to know how he does it. You know how he's taking the listing. He is, every time at noon when he finishes up, he goes and gets some delicious Graeter's mint chocolate chip ice cream. It's the one for taking listings. The other flavors are for working with buyers. And if the listing is a little slow to sell, go out in the front yard, dig a hole, bury it upside down, and that listing will sell just like that. That is his secret. You wanted to know what his secret is. That's why you tuned in. Now you know. Go to Graeters.com. You can find it in your stores all over North America. Make sure to join us next week, folks, when we have another exciting guest taking 2, 3, 4, and in case of James, is 5, 6, 7 listening for the week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Love it. Thanks.
Thank you.